Hey everybody, it's Angie and welcome to Hot and Flashy and welcome to another episode of Foundation Friday for over 50s, where we try out a foundation to see how it performs on more mature, less than perfect skin. In the hot seat today is Lancome Teint Idole Ultra 24-Hour Long Wear Foundation. This retails for $47 for 1 ounce and it comes in 50 shades. This is supposed to be a 24-hour wear, full coverage, natural matte finish foundation that's also sweat, humidity, and transfer resistant. It's packaged in a nice heavyweight frosted glass bottle. It has a pump dispenser. This is also oil-free and fragrance-free. There are 2 different formulations of this foundation based on what shade you are. So the shades that are lighter than shade 500 are mainly a water and silicone mix, and they have an SPF 15. The shades 500 and darker don't contain any sunscreen. It's pretty much the same formulation, except it does contain some SD alcohol. It's 5th on the ingredient list, so if you have super reactive skin or super dry skin, it can be a little bit drying, so that's something to be aware of. Hey you guys, it's future me just busting into your video to let you know that I discovered a little discrepancy with the ingredients that I just mentioned to you. I had got that information off the Lancome website. I always go directly to the source, but I checked the ingredients on Ulta and they were different on Ulta. So on the Ulta website, SD alcohol or denatured alcohol is the 3rd ingredient in the foundation according to the Ulta website. So then I went over to Sephora to check, and Sephora lists the exact same ingredients as they have them on the Lancome website. So those 2 are consistent. So then I thought, well, let me check my box since I have it here. And on my box, this agrees with the Ulta website. According to the ingredients list, denatured alcohol is the 3rd ingredient in this foundation. So anyway, I don't know how much you guys care about denatured alcohol in your foundation. For me, at the 3rd ingredient spot, it is a lot to be in there, especially if you have dry skin or mature skin. It can be irritating, it can be drying, or you could be fine with it. So I just wanted to let you know. So that is it. I will return you back to the video. We're gonna be putting this to a multi-day wear test today. I've already worn it 2 days. Today is the 3rd day. I wear it with different sunscreens. I try different primers, setting powder, setting spray, just a whole mess of different stuff to see what it works best with and if it can really stand up to those claims. So the shade I got it in is 230 Buff Warm. I think it's a pretty good shade match for me. I didn't feel the need to go back and buy another one, although I do feel like it's just slightly yellow for me, but otherwise I think it's really a good shade match. Lancome does have a shade match guarantee though. You just call 1-800-LANCOME and they'll send you a prepaid shipping label to swap out for the right color. Just a little bit about me and my skin before we start. I'm 59 years old. I have my fair share of wrinkles, enlarged pores, and discolorations that I like to try to disguise a little bit with foundation. And I like a foundation that helps to make my skin look younger and better than it is. So we'll be checking this one out today to see if it can do just that. So let's go back to day 1, the first time I wore it, and see how it performed. So for day 1, I used my Holy Grail sunscreen combination, which is Elta MD UV Elements SPF 44 mixed with Paula's Choice Super Light SPF 30. I used the BK Beauty 101 brush to apply the foundation to one side of my face, and I used a Beauty Blender sponge on the other. Teint Idole has a thicker lotion-like texture. It went on easily with the brush and covered redness and discolorations well. It also went on well with the sponge and blended out seamlessly. I used about a pump and a half and I feel like it is giving me pretty full coverage. It's definitely covering up redness and any discolorations on my skin. On first impression, I thought it looked really nice. I thought the shade match was good, and it definitely covered up my redness and discolorations in one coat and had a nice demi-matte finish that didn't accentuate pores or texture. On day 1, I used all powder makeup for the blush and my bronzer, and the foundation played really well with powder makeup. It does have a natural matte finish, so I didn't powder my T-zone. I wanted to see if it would stay matte all day without the addition of any primer or setting powder. It wasn't settling into any wrinkles or pores, and I really, really liked how it looked. So I went about my day and came back to the camera for a 5-hour check-in, and at 5 hours I thought it looked pretty good, but it was looking a little oily by the sides of my nose and down my T-zone, and it was sliding around on my forehead and under my nose, where there were a couple of globs that weren't really very pretty. It's starting to slide around a little bit under here. There's some like big gloobers of foundation there that need to be spread out. It's getting a little shiny in the T-zone. I mean, I didn't set it, so that's to be expected. And a little settling in this wrinkle here. Overall, I thought that the wear was pretty good at that point, with just a little redness showing through on my chin. So then at the 10-hour check-in, I thought it looked just okay. It was worn off in patches and looked a little shiny around my T-zone still, but also looked dry around my mouth and chin. It wasn't terrible, but it definitely wasn't going to last for 24 hours, considering that it was already starting to fade away at 10 hours. So that was it for day one. I was hoping to really, really love this one because, of course, its little sister product is the Teint Idole concealer, and this is my holy grail concealer currently, and so I was hoping that this would be just as fantastic right out of the chute as this guy was. Sadly, it didn't make me that happy on the first day, so for the second day of wearing it, I decided to use more of a lightweight sunscreen underneath. I had just discovered this fantastic sunscreen right here, this little guy called Dr. G Green Mild Up Sun Plus. It's an SPF 50 plus. I had used it in another video and I really loved it. So I thought, let me try something more lightweight underneath and see if this helps to make it go any better. So then I also wanted to try some primers under it to help it to last a little bit longer and look a little bit smoother and keep my oils in check. So I applied Laura Mercier foundation primer on one side of my face and Beauty Blender the Leveler primer on the other side to see if a primer would help it to last longer and be less drying. I used my fingers to put it on the side with the Leveler primer, and to my surprise, it went on really, really well with the fingers. I used a blending sponge on the other side and both sides blended out really easily. The coverage was fuller on the side where I applied it with the Beauty Blender, and it was a little sheerer on the finger side. This side with the Laura Mercier primer is a little bit more luminous. You can see I'm getting a little bit more glow over here than I am on this side with the Beauty Blender. The Leveler primer, it's more of a matte primer, and this is more of a matte sunscreen. So you can see how the different primer will make a difference in the finish of the foundation. It does show through a little bit, so this one isn't completely opaque. I'm gonna set it with powder today, try to get it to stay in place a little bit better. So I'm gonna use my Honest Beauty blurring powder. And I'm just gonna set my forehead where it seemed to wear off pretty quickly, and by the sides of my nose where it seemed to get shiny, and I thought it looked amazing. I thought my skin looked so smooth and perfected, and the foundation felt dry and set. It didn't feel tacky. I gotta say, that's one of the things that I really like about this foundation. Like even today, it definitely doesn't feel tacky. It definitely does not transfer. Like, it is not all up under my fingernails, and I like that about it a lot. So at the 5-hour check-in, I thought it still looked great. It was still smoothing and matte and hadn't worn off or started sliding around or doing any of the naughty stuff that it had done the day before, so I was really, really happy with it. When it sets, it's dry, it doesn't feel goopy, it's not coming off under my fingernails all day, it just feels so like just set. Liking that about it so far for today. So yeah, I guess I'll come back in another 5 hours, we'll see how it's doing then, but so far at the 5-hour check-in, I think it all looks good. All right, 10 hours in with the Lancome foundation on day 2, and oh my gosh, I like it so much better today than I did yesterday. What a difference. This cheek is definitely a lot more worn off, but the cheek where I used the Beauty Blender, the Leveler Primer, is still in place. It doesn't look dry, it doesn't look oily, it's not sliding around and doing naughty things. So I feel like on my combo skin, it definitely needed a primer to help it to look better and last longer. Both of these primers, and maybe it's the sunscreen today as well, kept it much more matte through my T-zone, didn't get as oily looking. So I'd say that this is a really good combination with this foundation. Overall, even though it's a little bit worn off on one side, I think it still looks really, really good for 10 hours. And it doesn't feel oily, and it also doesn't feel drying. So really, really happy with it on day 2. I feel like it definitely looked better with primer, with setting powder, and with that Dr. G sunscreen. So today is day 3, and instead of doing the same setup as the previous day, I wanted to try some more things with it. So today I tried yet another sunscreen. I used my Dr. Jart Every Sunday sunscreen. I was so psyched to see that this is back in stock, because this was like one of the winners of my sunscreen testing last May, but it was not in stock anywhere at the time I put out that video. So it was so good, and yet nobody could get it. So anyway, it's back in stock, so I thought I would just retry it again today, let you guys know that it's available if you had wanted to try it back then. So I gave that a try. I meant to put on the Beauty Blender, the Leveler Primer again today, but I forgot, so we have no primer going on today. I applied it with my BK101 brush today, and it's giving me nice full coverage. I think it looks really, really good today. It looks smoothing and beautiful. I also set it with the IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Pores powder today. And then just to try to throw one more thing at it, I also added the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. It really does increase the wear time of the makeup. I also used all cream products to test it today. I used the Charlotte Tilbury contour wand on my forehead and for my contouring. Unfortunately with this, it did make the foundation rub off when I was blending this, so my forehead looks a little blotchy, so I don't love this foundation with a cream contour, at least on my forehead. It didn't do that on my cheeks or on my jaw, it's still in place. And then I used my Glossier Cloud Paint for my blush, and it didn't remove the makeup where the blush is. So it works pretty well with cream products as well, except up here on your forehead. And on the eyes today, just in case you're curious, I have the Truth or Bare Morphe palette. So that's the setup for today. So today I'll do the 5-hour and 10-hour check-in, but we also have a few more tests to do. We have the sunshine test, the natural window light, and the overhead yucky yellow light test to do. I'm trying to think. I'm in my new house now, and I don't know if I have overhead yucky yellow light, but I'll do some like artificial light. It actually looks pretty perfect again today. I gotta say, the Dr. Jart sunscreen is very similar to the Dr. G, and I feel like my skin doesn't look super textured or anything. So let's take the vlogging camera outside right now. It's a beautiful sunny day. I mean, for like October 20th, it's 75 degrees today here in New England. So I'm like, perfect. All right, here is the Lancome Ultra Idole foundation in the bright, bright sunshine. And here's Lancome Idole in indirect window light. Lancome foundation in overhead indoor light. So I liked it in all the different lighting scenarios. Take a look at the flash picture in a darkened room. This is one of the best ones I've seen, you guys. It has no flashback, and again, look how smooth my skin looks. My gosh, I cannot even believe that picture. It is 5:49, so it is time for the 5-hour check-in. It was actually time for the 5-hour check-in 49 minutes ago, so I'm a little bit late. I was at the beach with the dogs, taking them for a swim. I figured it's kind of like physical therapy for my big dog who has a sprained ankle, right? To let her swim. So we did that. It is warm out today. I can't say I was really sweaty, but the first time I wore it, it did make me really super shiny. I feel like today it's not getting too luminous in my T-zone, but it definitely is a little bit more luminous than it was when I first put it on. But all in all, I think for 5 hours, it still looks really nice. But let's take a look at it up close and personal. I'm not sure if I got good coverage on my nose to start with, because I'm not sure why that's a little red. I usually don't touch up, but I am going out for a bite and a cocktail, which I'll have to wear a mask for. And so that will be the true transfer test. So I'll bring a clean mask with me and put it on, and I'll show you that at the 10-hour check-in. But for now, I think it looks pretty darn good. I don't think it's like moving around too much. I don't think it's too worn off. I think there's like a little bit of wear up here, a little bit on my nose, but overall, I think it looks really good. All right, you guys, 10:24 and time for the 10-hour check-in, 10 hours and 24 minutes on the, what are we doing today? Lancome Teint Idole foundation. So for today, I think that it is still looking pretty darn good for 10 hours of wear. I feel like it is a little bit worn off on my nose and my chin and a little patchy on the forehead. Not anything that is really obvious from a distance. Like I think from here, you're probably looking at it thinking it looks pretty good. And I would say the same. As far as the 24-hour wear, I don't know. Who wants to wear the makeup for 24 hours? I did wear a mask when I went out tonight. I probably had it on for an hour total. Wore it while I was driving just to get a little extra time in, and then wore it to go into the restaurant, wait for a table, and then went to Walmart afterwards to look for Halloween costumes and wore it around Walmart. So here is the inside of the mask. There is a little bit of transfer in there, but not a ton, I gotta say. Usually an hour in other foundations, it's a lot more than that. So I'd say it is pretty transfer resistant. So let's take a look at it up close here. So as you can see, it's a little worn off on my nose and a little worn off on my chin. It is starting to get a little bit shiny over here by the sides of my nose, a little like greasy looking. You know, I would probably blot that, and up here on my forehead, it's actually not too bad, not too slidey aroundy. I definitely felt like it was comfortable to wear all 3 days. I didn't really feel like I had on a mask of makeup. I didn't feel like it ever looked cakey or bad. All right, so let's finish it off by going over the pros and the cons. On the pro side are the natural looking demi-matte finish. I really like the finish on this one. It is lightweight and comfortable and very smoothing. It is fairly long wearing depending on what you have on under it. You can get 10 hours of wear out of it, you know, but even if it starts to wear off at like 5 hours, it still looks good. It doesn't wear off in a bad way, you know, it's not like really obvious and patchy and stuff. It doesn't settle into wrinkles, it doesn't settle into pores, and it's easy to apply. I can put it on with my fingers, I can put it on with a brush or a sponge, so it gave me no problems in the application department. On the con side, there's just one thing, is that it needs the right sunscreen under it to look good and to wear well. I would say that definitely a more lightweight sunscreen underneath is what works better for this one. You know, is this going to be a new holy grail? Probably not. Just because it was so finicky and just needed to have a lot of things thrown at it to make it look good. You know, if you're someone who always wears primer and always wears setting powder, then you might like this one. But if you're someone who doesn't use those things, then you might be disappointed in it. I'm not sure if people with like dry skin who like more of a dewy finish foundation are gonna love this one, because it does have that nice demi-matte finish, but that demi-matte finish is great for people with texture. So if you have texture, I would definitely give it a try. If there's times that I really need my skin to look super smooth and, you know, super perfected, I will definitely be reaching for this again. So I'll probably wear this a lot because I liked how smooth my skin looked. So anyway, that is the Foundation Friday for today on the Lancome Teint Idole Ultra 24-hour wear foundation. So if you found the video helpful and informative, go ahead and give it a like. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. As always, I thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate your watching. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next video. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.